So today I want to talk to you about what I personally would do if I needed, and I say needed with quotation marks, clients, because I don't really like having that energy of like need, because need comes from a place of desperation. But let's say I desire to, and I really want to increase how many clients I'm taking on. If I was to start really implementing the law of action, like what are some of the things, the tangible things that I would be doing in my business, like if I wanted more clients this week. Let's say it's on a Monday and I'm like, by Sunday, I want to have at least one more client. What are some of the things I would be doing? So let's actually start off with the things I would not be doing, because oftentimes I feel like this is what really distracts a lot of us. I know this because I've done it myself and in my business, where I'm like, okay, I see everyone doing all these things. They're on Instagram and they're like starting a social media account. So if you are in that period, let's say your goal is like by the end of this week, I want to attract and begin working with one more client or one client, I am not going to start a YouTube channel. That is a long-term strategy. I am not going to be doing any rebranding. Again, that is more of like a long-term strategy. I'm not going to be building a new website. I am not going to be going on Instagram, creating a ton of content, none of that. That is what I would not be doing if the goal for me personally is to go, okay, I want to attract one more client this week. What are some things that feels good for me, right? Because we want to do things that is in alignment. So first I always tune in. I'm like, okay, what feels good? Like what inspired action will come out of this? I often do a prayer because I like to take action that is divinely guided. So for me, it's always the path of least resistance. So something that I love is I love connecting with people. You know, oftentimes I think because oftentimes I am quite active on Instagram, people think the majority of my revenue, my income, my clients actually come from Instagram, and that's actually not true. It actually comes from me talking to people, me connecting with people. So if I wanted to add another client this week, here are some things that I would probably lean into because they have worked for me in the past. I would hop on more discovery calls. So how do I get more discovery calls? I follow up. So the first thing I would do is actually have a Trello board of like clients, potential clients, like a vision board of clients that I want to work with. We had at some point discussed the possibility of working together. Guess what I would do? Simply follow up with them, right? Making sure that I have an offer that I feel good about, it was something that they were, they wanted to work on in the past. They said, okay, you know what, I can't really right now. It could be for a multitude of reasons, just the season of the life that they were in, and maybe they couldn't at that time. I was simply following up with them, see how they're doing, and then ask if that's something that, they were still looking for support in, right? Because oftentimes we miss so many opportunities to support new clients because we don't follow up. Myself included, I fell into this trap where it's just like, there's so much value in the follow up. And so I would just go, okay, this week, here are the individuals that, at some point we talked about working on this. She says that, and I just revisit those notes. I try to always make sure I take diligent notes, because the more you recall from that conversation you have, the easier it is to follow up. Otherwise, it just comes off as salesy. It comes off of like out of the blue. There's really no point in connecting from their lens. They're like, why is this person reaching out to me? But if you can recall things from that conversation, it makes it easier. So for example, it could have been, hey Susie, how's it going? And in a little chat about, I just wanted to check in. I know back in May you talked about working, that you were really struggling in these areas. Is that something that you're still, would love some support on, or that you're struggling with? And then usually I love doing voice notes. The reason why is because sometimes things can be misinterpreted on text. And so if it's through Instagram, I use the little voice notes app. If it's through text messaging, guess what? They have the voice for that too. Or WhatsApp, whatever it is you use. It's just more personal. People feel more connected to you when they hear you versus just like on texting. You absolutely can do texting if the person on the other end is someone who just likes to text more versus like listen. Everyone's a little bit different in how they receive information. But when you're thinking about someone, how nice is it when you feel like that person is thinking of you and you actually hear your name, you hear their voice. And I hear clients who say this, past clients, when I reach out to them again, like just hearing my voice just helps to calm their nervous system because of all the powerful work we've done together in the past. And then it just brings back that memory for them, right? The more senses and sensations you can bring back into the conversation, I think it just really helps with that experience. And so following up with those who said, I'd love to work together, maybe not now, but like later on, being super clear on what it was they were struggling with. And so that way you have things to discuss with them. And then inviting them. It's just like, is this something that you would still like support in? Amazing. Let's go ahead and would you be open to booking, let's go ahead and book a 20-minute call, 15-minute call, whatever that is for you. And so that way it's just easier for you just to do that call with them and then just kind of see where they're at in the season. So that's going to increase your discovery calls. So following up with those who have shown interest before in the past. Something else that I would do is if I have like a couple spots that are opening up, I know that client contracts are beginning to end, of course, and this is something I'm going to talk about later, is you want to have an Ascension, a retainer type program. That way you increase the lifetime value of the clients, and also you're able to continue to walk with them, because where they were, they may not need support in that specific area anymore, but they may need support in like maintaining whatever it is that you work together on. And so having those programs already set and having like the idea of what, people typically like to think of it like a value ladder. For me, it's more like thinking of the client's journey, and if I was that client, like what would I want? I may not need that higher touch support, but I still want to be in that person's energy, that have some sort of way for me to still receive some kind of support from them. Okay. So this is where you think of other things. So that's going to be a different conversation altogether, because that is more about retaining clients and then re-signing clients, things of that nature. Instead, this one's more about like getting your next clients, right? And so let's say if clients are ending, I have a couple of spots. The people I always reach out to when I have spots open up is actually past clients. I let them know, hey, I have 2 spots open this coming season where I can really hold a container for 3 months. And of course, like thank them so much for like trusting you and working with you. Is there anyone who would love the type of support that you received or similar support, right? Because who better than your past clients to refer clients to you, because they know you so well. They had that amazing experience with you. And then oftentimes what I find is that every time I send out the email, I like to do it through email or sometimes like a little voice note, is that I typically get at least 1 or 2 out of those where it's just like, I've been meaning to connect you with so-and-so. It's like, what is the best way for me to connect them with you, right? And so just being prepared for that. And then there's your opportunity to hop on another discovery call, making that connection, right? And so I would do that. So again, the first one really was like going back, taking a look at some of the clients who, couldn't do it for whatever reason in that season, and then following up with them. Second one, referrals. And people often don't even know that you have spots open, or people are busy all the time. They may have meant to refer someone to you and they forgot, because as a mama, my 3 babies, I forget things all the time. So of course your clients are going to forget, not that they forget about you and your experience, and none of us like to think of that, but we're not their center of their universe. They're not thinking about us all the time. Even if they see us on Instagram, they're not thinking, oh, maybe this person needs a client right now, or maybe they're open for more spots, whatever that is. So just touching base with past clients, letting them know, thank you so much for, I like working together, just being super genuine, right? Because you're not being salesy, you're being honest. You are really grateful for them, having worked with them, and just asking them if they know of anyone who would love a similar support that you can really help and support in. So if you do that, and you gave your past clients an amazing experience, chances are out of all those referrals, you'll at least get one or two who'll say, yeah, you know what, I've been meaning to connect you with so-and-so. What's the best way for me to do that? And then making sure that you, of course, reach out to that person and then hop on a discovery call with them. So those are the two. And something else that would be super fun, maybe not something you could do within the week, but it'd be amazing if you could, is attending like an in-person event. So I think oftentimes we think it has to be like a networking event, like we have to dress all professional and all this, but just really allowing yourself to be around others more, right? Because the more you are out in the community, the more you realize that the need for whatever it is that you, however it is that you serve clients, and the more people you connect with, the more connections you not only make. It's kind of like, let's say you're in real estate, right? The more people you meet, that person has a network. So for every single person, they know at least 100 people. So even if you meet someone and they may not be the person who needs whatever it is that you offer, chances are they know at least 10, 20, 100 people who may want what it is that you're offering, okay? And so making sure that you tapped into your community in whatever way. I try to make it a point at least once a week where I am in some way like connected. Of course, I'm already part of our church, and because of that, that helps a ton for me to be already embedded, planted, connected in that way. But I'm actually going to be attending a networking event. I haven't done it in a while, and I was just like, you know what, I want to plug in. Here's something else to consider as well, is if you don't have a local networking event, a meetup group. There are tons of meetup groups. It does not have to be about business, especially if you're a life coach, if you do healing work, if you do more of like things that has to do with self-care, any of that nature where it's not specific to business. It's like, and even if it is business, it's always fun to meet people in different places. And so I would highly encourage you to do that. And so for me, if you notice, none of the things that I shared requires for you to start something new. We're not starting a new website. You're not going to be launching a YouTube channel or TikTok channel. So I think oftentimes because people see someone else do it, they're like, oh, that's the way, that's the pathway, I have to do it. I do those things because they're fun. They are an extra, okay? For me, those are long-term strategies. I don't expect my YouTube channel to start bringing in clients for me within the next 3, 6, 9, or even 12 months. Why? Because that's a lot of pressure for me. And it's not fun for me to crank out a year's worth of content before I have a client, because I have lights and bills and things to pay. So for me, it's like path of least resistance. And if you're a coach, it's connection. You want to be connected to people. How do you connect with people? You have conversation. How do you have conversation? By actually initiating conversations, following up with those who, couldn't right now. And then reaching out to clients who have worked with you in the past. So that way, the whole point of it is so you can start those conversations with those potential clients. Something else that I don't do, but I do when I'm like, you know what, it'll be fun to add like a few clients here and there, is I actually would offer one-off sessions. So this is not like a long-term strategy where I'm like doing big launches for this. This is more for me when I'm like, you know what, I think I can actually add on one more client. And then I've already done those other two things. I was like, this will just be fun. And so it's like, oh, offering one-on-one I'm offering like a coaching session, one-off coaching session. It's only, 60 minutes for $222, whatever the price is at the time. Or I might offer like a day of Voxer, where they get Voxer support from me for like $111 or something like that, where it's like low, low commitment for them. It's literally one day of Voxer or 1 hour of a coaching session together. That's it. And there's no contract. There's no contract on my end. There's no contract for someone else. So this is great when you're like, you know what? I just want like to support someone, and I have extra time on my calendar to support, right? I'm not, because oftentimes we're like, oh, I have no time on my calendar. As a business, coaching is the business. And so we need to make sure we allocate time on our calendars for working with clients, with supporting them, because that is what a coach, a practitioner, a healer does, is that's the actual work that we do. And so you want to make sure that you set aside time for that. Hope this was helpful for you. So those are the main 3 things that I really do, especially if I'm like, okay, if it was a Monday and I'm like, by Sunday, it would be great to add on one more client. Again, first thing is I will reach out to past clients and just have that follow-up conversation with them. Second, I tap into past clients and then I just let them know, hey, do you know of anyone? And people love, if they, especially if they had a positive experience, they want to refer you to others. They can't help. That's what you want. That's how you create demand. People can't help but talk about you because of the deep level of service that you provided them. And then finally is, for me, just doing one-off sessions. It's like, I have some time. I'm like, you know what? I think next week I have some time. I want to do a one-off session. And then offering it to your people and actually sharing your offer with people. So that would be it. I would not be wasting my time. Not wasting. I hate saying wasting because it's not. It's a long-term strategy. So content creation. Anything that has to do really much with content creation, oftentimes it's long-term strategy. Those are the things you have to think about. But instead we get caught up in like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And I was like, no, honey, it's like just one client. Focus on the things that is going to bring you in one client. If only for today, I'm only going to focus on these 3 things. And the next day, if only for today, I'm only going to focus on those 3 things. If it were those 3 things, I would let it, for myself personally, it may not align with you, but for myself personally, because I can only speak from my own experience, go back to clients who at one point showed interest in working with you, but they couldn't in this season. Second, referrals, because your referrals is like gold. And third, I would offer one-off sessions, or an offer where it's not something I usually do, but I'm like, you know what? It'll be so fun. Let's do a one-off EFT session or a one-off Voxer day. So hope that was helpful, and I will catch you later, friends.